Oh, we got a trim! Let's go! Well done, lads. We all worked hard on it. It was a tough time over lockdown with an absolute shocker of a Barnet. What a weird weekend it was in the Premier League. Let's get into episode 11 of the Premier League verdict for season 4. Hello guys, how are you getting on? My name is Aaron Kelly. Welcome back to another episode of the Premier League verdict. Before we get into today's verdict, I would like to ask you, if you're not already, do subscribe to the channel if you're new. We have less than a month to go until the end of 2020, a year that's been an absolutely torrid one for most people, pretty much everyone, let's be honest. It's been pretty awful, but we can end it on a high if you help me get to 400 subscribers. So if you're not already, feel free to subscribe and share with a friend, because you honestly have no idea how much it means and how big a difference it makes. Every single share and like and comment and subscription that I get, you are very much appreciated. Let's get right into the football then, and I am going to only talk about a few games in particular. I'm not going to reference every game this weekend. I would like to start off with Chelsea. Big win, a very important one as well, against Leeds United at home, a potentially very sticky fixture, and that's why I was so impressed that we came out with a 3-1 win, and to be honest, a very thoroughly dominant performance by this Chelsea team, who fell behind thanks to former Blue Patrick Bamford after a really good ball through by Calvin Phillips. It was definitely questionable defending by Chelsea, and when that goal went in, I definitely did think it could be one of those days where, we struggled to break Leeds down. They hit us on the counter-attack. I felt like it was going to be a tough game from that moment on. But it wasn't long then before we equalised through Olivier Giroud, and what an incredible week this man has had. 4 against Sevilla in the Champions League, and he has absolutely solidified himself as Chelsea's main striker. I mean, unbelievable. A couple of unbelievable goals during the week, and a really nicely worked goal against Leeds at the weekend as well. Good ball in by Reece James. Chelsea took the lead in the second half through a header from Kurt Zouma, his 4th of the season, and then it was wrapped up when Timo Werner set it up on a plate for Christian Pulisic on his return to get his first Premier League goal of the season to send Chelsea top of the table. And as we all know, it didn't last very long. We'll get on to the other games in a minute, but a really, really good performance against a really tough Leeds side. I mean, we've seen teams play Leeds this season, top teams, or certainly teams from the traditional top 6, and make it look very, very difficult. Obviously, Liverpool had them on the opening day. Arsenal only drew with them. I mean, can we consider Arsenal a top 6 side anymore? I don't know. I'll leave that up to you in the comments. And obviously, Manchester City could only get a point out of Leeds at Elland Road this season as well. So, Leeds are always going to be a thorn in the side of the top sides, and to win the game as, convincingly and be as dominant as we were, obviously there was definitely chances for Leeds here and there, but overall I feel like Chelsea were really good value for all 3 points on the day, despite Timo Werner's absolute horror show. And he produced, I would probably argue, as the most unbelievably horrific miss of all time. And trust me, lads, I've been a Chelsea fan all my life. I've seen some absolutely awful misses from strikers. You think back to Fernando Torres' one against Man United in 2012, and countless other Alvaro Morata misses over the years. This one from Timo Werner, just, I think it takes the cake, lads. I honestly do. Surely it's harder to miss in that situation than score, but we won't scapegoat Werner too much. He had a bit of a shocker, but positive vibes all around. Chelsea top of the table. We'll get on to the main topic of the video shortly, which is the North London Derby, but again, a team that not everyone is really talking about, and that is Liverpool. A 4-0 victory over Wolves, who are obviously just beat Arsenal last week. I feel like everybody's beating Arsenal at the minute. A 4-0 victory, and again, it's one of those fixtures that, on paper, a lot of Liverpool fans, I know the Liverpool fans in my house, were definitely talking about it as a very sticky fixture indeed, similar to the way they were talking about the Leicester game a couple of weeks ago, and we all know how that ended. Mo Salah gave Liverpool the lead before second half goals from Gini Wijnaldum, Joel Matip, and an own goal by Nelson Semedo wrapped up all 3 points for Liverpool, who saw their fans back, similar to Chelsea's fans on Saturday evening as well. It makes such a difference to have fans back in the stadiums, lads. I really cannot stress that enough. But yeah, not a lot of people are really talking about Liverpool for title challenges at the minute. A lot of people are talking about Chelsea, a lot of people are talking about Tottenham, who again, as I said, we will get into now in a minute. But a lot of people are also sleeping on the 2 Manchester clubs who moved into within 4th and 5th, definitely momentarily, with a game in hand for the 2 of them. Man United obviously beat West Ham by 3-1, and thanks to another second half comeback after falling behind through Thomas Souček's goal in the first half. And Manchester City again were victorious, and I mean they were expected to get the win over Fulham. It was a 2-0 victory that sent them back into the conversation. I think they're both very, very close to the top of the table once again. And we kind of say this after, 10, 11 games as it is now. We really start to see the league take shape, and it certainly has done. Top 6, I'm not sure what the order is at the minute, but it's obviously Spurs, Liverpool, Chelsea, Leicester, Man United and Man City, and you kind of get a feeling at this stage in the season what the table is going to look like come May. Let's move on to the top headline then of this video. Tottenham back to the top and Arsenal in the mud, it's fair to say. Arsenal moved down to 15th in the table, and I mean, after 11 games, certainly, it's got to be a cause for concern at this point. First half goals from Heung-min Son, an absolute stunner from him, and then a terrific breakaway goal finishing off with Harry Kane. Claimed all 3 points for Jose Mourinho's men. And there's a lot to dissect here, and a lot of Arsenal fans are suffering at the minute. I was watching Hugh Wizzy's stream last night, and he was in a bad way, and rightfully so, because that first half performance in particular was absolutely awful. And I do think the Tottenham performance deserves a lot of credit as well, because I know a lot of people don't like to see it, but it is typical Jose Mourinho. And being a Chelsea fan and having seen that go in our favour in the past, it is nice in a way to see Mourinho back to his best. I know it's with Tottenham, so it kind of takes the shine off it, but it's still, I find his philosophy and his style of play and his way of winning so fascinating, and I always have, and I always will. Let's talk about the goals then, and the first one, they're both breakaway goals, let's be honest. Son runs the length of the pitch, isn't closed down, then whips it past Bernd Leno from about 30 yards out into, I wouldn't say the top corner, I think Leno was actually quite far off his line, he kind of loops in over him. And the second goal is again Arsenal losing the ball high up in the pitch, and it's just absolutely pantomime, because Thomas Partey, who I don't actually believe was fit going into this game, is actually walking off the pitch because he's injured, lads. Let's be honest here, Thomas Partey was not fit to start this game. He's trying to walk off the pitch, and then Arsenal lose it up top. And of course, with the pace that Tottenham have on the break, and I talked about this last week for the Chelsea game, and that was my biggest concern last week for the Chelsea game, was that pace and the likes of Son and Bergwijn. They lost the ball, they broke quickly, and it's literally a 4-on-2 situation. Like, I cannot believe Arsenal were that far out of position and were that disjointed that I was left with, I think it was Gabriel and Holding, who were left with Kane, Lo Celso, Son and Bergwijn to deal with between the two of them. Partey tries to run back onto the pitch. Arteta's literally pushing him back onto the pitch. It's clear that he's not fit to continue. And Son, lovely little pass into Harry Kane, who rifles it in off the underside of the bar. And the second half was very much Arsenal having a lot of possession, most of the possession if you will. And Tottenham just sitting back, 2 banks of 4. You look at Jose's changes, he brought on Ben Davies and then Joe Rodon as well. So I think he finished the game with like 5 or 6 defenders playing, which if it doesn't, perfectly capture Jose's style of play, I don't know what does. This season is seriously building up to be a very, very exciting, thrilling title race, which is something that we've been craving for the last couple of seasons, isn't it? Because we've seen a lot of the time it's either a 1-horse race or a 2-horse race max. It's been a while since we've seen, 4 or 5, maybe even 6 teams who have strong enough squads and are in good enough form to challenge for the Premier League title. Obviously Tottenham are in incredible form, as are Chelsea. Liverpool in brilliant form as well, despite the amount of injuries they had. And Man United and Man City are just getting their job done, and Leicester as well, I would argue, getting their jobs done under the radar, nice and quietly, just tipping along and still keeping pace with the front runners. And that is something that cannot be said for Arsenal. I don't even think in Wenger's worst years, and even in Emery's worst years, I've never seen Arsenal, I don't think, in 15th position, only 6 points off the relegation zone, with a game against Burnley, who are in the relegation zone next week, at the start of December. It'd be one thing if we were in August or September and they just had a bit of a stinky start to the season, but that is not the case in this situation. We are 11 games in, lads, and if you're an Arsenal fan, I would love to know your thoughts in the comment section down below on this particular issue. If Arsenal are still in a similar position that they're currently in come the end of December. How much longer are you going to give him? Because, you know, it seems harsh. He's been in the job for, I mean, probably about a year now at this stage. And yes, he got a bounce out of the players when he first got appointed. So did Unai Emery, and we've seen how that finished, didn't we? And it just seems like bloody Groundhog Day, because it's the same regime, it's the same pattern that just seems to be continuing year in, year out, and it doesn't seem to be changing. And on top of this now, we talked about it last season and we joked about it last season a lot. Where would Arsenal genuinely be without Pierre-Emerick Aubameyang's goals? And he has started off the season absolutely horrifically. I think he might only have one, maybe even max 2 goals in the Premier League this season. For a striker who's in and around the Golden Boot conversation every year, is very poor. And now we are seeing, ironically, what Arsenal are like without Pierre-Emerick Aubameyang's goals, and they are down the bottom of the table. Like, it's absolutely unbelievable. As bad as Arsenal have been defensively the last couple of years, I've always had him to dig them out of tough situations. And now that he's not firing, we are seeing this team for what it really is. And I really didn't think they'd be in this situation. I thought they had genuinely turned a corner. I think I've actually predicted them to finish 5th or 6th in the Premier League. And that is it, lads. Let me know your thoughts in the comment section down below. As I said, also leave a like, and as I said as well, subscribe if you're new. YouTube doesn't think we're going to hit 400 subscribers by the end of the year. I was only looking at my social blade today and my future projections. So let's break the mold and get the channel to 400 subscribers by the end of the year. That would be amazing. And yeah, hope you are all keeping safe, keeping well, and I will catch you later.